Hi everyone, it's Tasha. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Hi everyone, so for today's video I have rounded up some items that I think are totally a McGee Co style, but which are all thrifted and DIY'd. Now I am coming off a high from last week's find, this beauty, so go and check that out if you haven't seen it yet, but I do have a lot of good things to share with you today, starting with a beautiful art piece. If you've browsed through McGee Co's art collection, you will see some stunning pieces. I love this framed sketch of this horse. It's really beautiful. I especially like the oval opening around the sketch. I think that it gives it a nice vintage charm look, and that's what I was trying to recreate when I headed to the thrift shop. Now this one took me a few weeks to find, but I did make several trips even to my local store called Trosa, which as you can see it was very busy, but they do tend to have a lot of books and a lot of pieces of art to look through, and it was there that I found this beautiful frame, which lo and behold had this nice oval matting in it. It's definitely an older piece, you can tell by the weathered wood, and also just this kind of creamy color of the matting around it, which I wasn't actually crazy about, but this only cost me $1.50, so I thought that it was the perfect thing to grab. Instead of a horse print in mind, since I already have some horse things around my house, I decided to go with this beautiful sailboat sketch, which I purchased from Etsy. The shop is called North Prints, and I got the digital download from there and just printed it off at my local CVS, and this only cost me, as you can see, $4.19 to do. They always run sales on their printing. And I found that when I opened this frame up, it actually had an additional oval matting inside that was white, so that was perfect for me. I'm just popping in the print that I had printed at the right size for this frame and putting the backing back on to see how this looks. I think that this print looks so perfect inside this simple wooden frame with a nice sweet oval matting that gives it a nice vintage charm, a lot like my McGee Co inspiration piece, especially since my grand total for framing this was less than $10. I did end up finding online where this same sketch is sold in an 8x10 frame for $95, which makes me think that my deal was truly excellent. You could style something like this just about anywhere. I could see it looking really nice in a small bathroom, or maybe even inside like a water closet for a nice pop of art. For now, I'm going to be styling this one in my hutch and just propping it behind some of my other decorations. Something else that I love to look for inspiration for on McGee Co's website are their baskets. They always have such beautiful ones. Like this Jacinta basket is stunning with those handles, but $184 is more than I would want to spend. And so I did find this one in that same Trosa thrift store. It was marked for $9.99. As a side note, I also saw this beautiful little picnic basket, which I talked myself out of because I know I would not actually use it and it would just sit around, but I did end up getting this large rectangular one with these beautiful handles on the side. This is definitely a vintage piece. It's very sturdy, very strong, and very heavy. I thought that it was great quality, but the lady actually said she didn't think it should be $9.99 and she only charged me $2, which was even better. I wasn't gonna argue. As you can see, I saw that same one online for a lot more. But something that I want to do with this basket is change up the orangey color because that's not going very well with my home, so I decided to try and stain it.
It's definitely getting ready to rain, so I don't know why I'm starting this right now, but here we go.
You can use a wood stain on baskets like this as long as they aren't coated with anything glossy, and the stain will sink into the fibers.
Also, this is going to take forever. I don't know if this is going to work. You guys, I don't know. It's working, but it's going to take forever to get it down in all of those crevices. It's been a long week. Go a different direction with this.
Well, I definitely did go a different direction. I discovered that there are sprayable wood stains. I don't know how I didn't know this already, or maybe I had forgotten, but I realized that there were, and I ordered some right away in the same color, which is called Kona, that I was using before. It went on so much easier as a spray, and it made this DIY makeover so quick and painless. After sitting out for a full day in the sun to dry, this is my final result, and I do love this basket so much more in a dark tone. I think that it just gives it a little more of a modern touch rather than the yellowy orange color, and I can use this in so many different places in my home. I love the fact that it has a lid and will hide whatever is in it. It's the perfect touch, and I can't believe it only cost me $2 plus the cost of a can of spray stain. Now, something else that I often notice on designer sites and especially in designer kitchens are little marble accents or ceramic accents that are just an extra touch of interest and class. I love this little salt cellar at McGee Co. I think that it's so sweet. I love the lid on it and the little spoon. This one's actually not too bad of a price at $22, but it is waitlisted at the moment. But I actually came across a brand new set of a salt and pepper cellars at the thrift store. This was a Goodwill for just $4.99. When I was checking out, the lady told me that she had just put that item out, and so my timing was really great. I think these are so sweet. I love the little lids, and I love a good marble accent. You can use this for so many different places in your home, not necessarily just actually to hold salt and pepper in the kitchen. You could separate these and just use them as decorative objects on the top of your styling elements like baskets or books, or group them together like I have here in my hutch. And I think that these just add a nice interest and differing material to work into the different textures and layers that I'm using on this hutch. I think that this was $5 well spent. I've also noticed that McGee Co. always has really beautiful candlesticks on their website. These are $36 and $32 respectively for those different sizes, and I love to just look at the photos for inspiration for styling them and room decoration as well. But hitting the thrift shops to see what I can find for myself, I'm also usually able to find plenty of candlesticks in thrift shops. The trouble is finding sets of 2 if that's what I'm looking for. So I found a lot of singles on this particular trip that were really beautiful, but then I also ended up hitting the jackpot and finding a set. Now, I also know that mixed metals are coming back into style in a big way. Silver is making a big comeback alongside of gold, and so when I spotted these 2 candlesticks that had both the silver and the gold together, and I'm just showing you some room examples that have both as well, I thought that these were perfect, and I could totally see them on the shelves at McGee Co. right alongside their other products, and so I knew that I wanted to get these. They were $4.99 each, and they were very, very sturdy and in great condition, so I definitely snatched those up. Obviously, there are plenty of places around the house that you could style candlesticks. One thing I'm learning though is that I don't love them styled in front of a mirror, because it does look beautiful in a way, but it can make the space feel a little bit too busy since it's reflected and it kind of looks like there's 4 sitting there. I kind of like to style them against something solid instead. I did try them here as well on my mantle where they're not both reflected, and I like that look a little bit better. Now, as far as candles themselves, I love to look at McGee Co., but also for this particular example, I'm going to show you from Amber Interior's shop. She has some really great looking candles, but some of them are very expensive at $300 and $600. I'm honestly not sure what is up with those. Maybe they are just super special, but they're out of my price range. And so I did come across this little planter when I was thrifting this time instead. It cost me $2.69, which you can kind of see there lightly in silver on the bottom. I had already tried to rub it off at this point in the video process, but I'm going to be using this vessel to make my own candle. And so you might have seen in my front porch makeover where I bought these candle making pieces, which are the wicks and then also some of the little pearls, and I'm going to be using those again to make this candle. These come with a handy little sticker pad where you can stick it on the bottom of the wicks to keep them in place while you pour the wax or the beads, and so that's what I'm going to be using. For this candle, since it's larger, I'm going to be using 3 different wicks, but you could set this up however you want, which is the fun of it. These beads make making a candle really simple because you don't have to melt down wax. You simply pour them into whatever vessel you want them in, and it's super easy. So once you start to burn your candle, that top layer will melt and kind of meld together. But in the meantime, you just pour it into whatever you want. For this candle, I decided not to mix my essential oils all throughout the wax, but rather just to put a few drops around each wick. And that way I figured once the candle burns for a little while, I can go in and change the scent to something different, maybe the next week, or just leave it unscented, which I also appreciate, but I really thought that was a nice idea. This set of essential oils is also from Amazon. It's got so many different scents, so I will link that below as well. And I think that this makes a very high-end looking style candle for just the $2.69 plus a part of a bag of those pearl wax beads, which I think was really fun. So those are my McGee Co inspired ideas on a thrift shop budget. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment letting me know what you liked before you leave. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope everyone has a fantastic week. I'll see you at the next video.